Dead by Daylight is a very vague game. A lot of its laws, characters, and secrets are hidden behind descriptions, and even then, it's not always accurate and it leaves stuff up to speculation. The ages of a character is something that have never really been revealed, outside of a couple of exceptions like Frank Morrison. Today, we'll be trying to delve into the ages of one specific survivor, Feng Min, the gamer extraordinaire. So sit down and enjoy this mini delve into Min, a bit of her timeline, and just how she got into the fog and when. Unlike most survivors, analyzing timelines for Feng Min is a little bit easier. A lot of her cosmetics provide years to try to pin down exactly when things happen and when things didn't. For example, one of her spring outfits that she got on the Rift details that she was in a tournament as a fresh recruit around 2014. This is a very simple way of trying to build a detailed timeline. So, first things first, let's try to determine what age Min is exactly. Now, trying to go down to find her age is quite difficult, but let's start at her early life. We know that she picked up gaming from a very early time in her career. At a young age, she fell in love with gaming, fell in love with how immersive it was, how it took her to a new world. Her parents thought it was okay, that there was nothing wrong with it, but soon Min became consumed. Soon Min started playing more. It became more of a life passion for her, more of a life goal. Her parents tried to pull her away from this, tried to make her focus on studies and pull the plug. Min felt smothered by this and chose to leave. She didn't want to stay with parents or families that couldn't see a future in gaming, couldn't see that her pursuits were worth something. So she began to hop between LAN parties and internet cafes for a place to stay. Making her name for herself, she eventually became known as Shining Lion and got recruited on a prestigious team. Now, from this, it's very easy to determine one thing. Min was pretty young at the time of her leaving her parents' house. Usually, parents would want to keep a strict rulings on their children's education. It doesn't make sense for them to put down the boot or put down the hammer when Min only had 2 or 1 year left of school. So we could assume that she was relatively young, but she also had to be old enough that her parents would have considered it a concern and time for her to roll up her sleeves. So, a good way of determining this would be saying that she was roughly also of age for her to start living on herself. She did hop between internet cafes and LAN parties to basically have a home, so we know she must have been at least of a decent age. Correlating this all together, we could assume, especially from the fact that the person writing journal entries about the survivors referred to her as a young woman, meaning that she's probably, at least on the time of the entity, in her early 20s. We could assume that Min at this stage was about 14 when her parents finally decided to put their foot down, and upon leaving she was probably around 16 or 15. If you're wondering why I chose that age, it fits into a certain demographic. In China, the need for education and the need to get a job with smart degrees is a very highly sought after thing. It's very unlikely that her parents would have let it slip too far. Slip as far as people, usually in the Western world, might. So it's safe to assume that she was around 15 or 16, at worst even 14, for them to start putting a chokehold on her passions. This would also give her a decent age limit that she could be hanging around LAN parties and internet cafes, and she wouldn't be seen as something that needed help or something that was too outrageous. Now that we have a rough speculation on what her age might be, 15 or 16, we definitely know that she decided to spend a couple of months or maybe even a couple of days making a name for herself in the gaming community, being known as Shining Lion as she hopped between internet cafe and LAN party. She eventually got noticed and recruited by Laser Bears, a prestigious team, and allowed to live in their dormitories. So now let's try to figure out the next stage in the plan. How long she spent in Laser Bears, which would help us figure out her age even more. As I've said previously, Min's cosmetics give us a very detailed dive into what years things happened to her. It's not the best or most accurate explanation, but it's the best we have. Like I brought up previously, her spring festival outfit allowed us to figure out that she was doing tournaments around 2014. So let's take a dive. What is the earliest record of her tournaments whilst within Laser Bears? Well, that would be her main event outfit, her jersey. The description reads that she took part in the 2012 championships. This, up to date until it's been changed, would be the earliest known records of Min being part of the Laser Bears and taking part of any tournaments. So from now we'll keep this as a base date. Now time to find the latest one, which would be pretty easy. Her default cosmetic details that this was the outfit she wore in the 2016 tournaments. This is very helpful indeed. Using these two bits of cosmetics in conjunction, we know that Min spent at least 4 years as part of the Laser Bears. The spring festival outfit somewhat corroborates this, as saying that she was a fresh recruit. We could tell that she hadn't been part of the Laser Bears for too long by 2014. Being a novice of roughly about 2 years when the other members of the Laser Bears could be in there for many years more, could probably link to the story. So roughly, we know that Min definitely started the Laser Bears, or at least is most likely to start the Laser Bears at around 2012. She was still considered a fresh recruit around 2014, meaning that she probably joined and became fully initiated around the later parts of 2012. Now we established this, figuring out the rest of her age could be a lot easier. We've previously established that she must have joined the Laser Bears at roughly about the age of 15 or 16. Add a space of 4 years onto that, and you get 20 to 19. This matches up pretty nicely with how her downward spiral lit. When she went through her downward spiral, she began searching internet intently, just looking for a place in bars, streets, where people didn't know of esports, probably didn't know of her failures. Considering the legal age in China is about 18 for drinking, we could definitely state that a girl of 19 or 20 would have definitely been able to go through bars looking for this goal of hiding her failures. Now we're starting to make some headway. We figured out her relative age at leaving her parents' house, and the relative age that she joined the Laser Bears. Using how much time she spent there, we managed to figure out what's the rough age that she was when her downward spiral started. Now, looking at one other bit of cosmetic, her victory polo suggests that she won the 2016 tournament. This would roughly put her abduction after the tournament, as she was still winning and on top. Her downward spiral didn't begin at this point. So we could roughly assume that she was taken by the entity in early 2017, maybe bordering on mid. With this information, if we pull everything together, we're likely to get a better image. So, Min, a house after her neglectful parents didn't see her true passion in gaming as something worthwhile, around the ages of most likely 15 or 16. She ended up wandering around in internet cafes and LAN parties, sleeping there for a home, until she made a name for herself and was discovered by laser bears. Recruited into their dormitories, she started as a very fresh initiate, just barely making it into the 2012 tournament, and was fully considered one of their fresh recruits, still around the year of 2014. 2 years later, she promptly won the 2016 tournament, and then her downward spiral started to begin. After 4 years of being in Laser Bears, she started to lose. Her contest performance started to go down because of her overindulgence in training and her lack of care of her own health. She slipped into a downward spiral and started searching bars for places who didn't know of her esports failures and places that she could go to for an area away from it. Eventually, whilst she was doing this, she woke up in a strange and unknown place, the entity's realm. With all this in mind, we could roughly determine that, using the age that she left, the 4 years she spent in Laser Bears, and roughly a month or two between her spiraling descent, we could say that Min was roughly around the ages of 19 to 21 when she was taken by the entity. So there you have it, prestigious gamer Feng Min decided to go off on her own and had a great career, made a name for herself both in and out of the Laser Bears, only to slip down into a spiral and be taken by the entity at the young age of between 19 and 21. Maybe we'll find more about Min in the fog. Maybe we'll find new bits of information with the archives that come out, or with other bits of cosmetics. And be rest assured, when she does get an archives, there will definitely be a case file, a lore file about her, delving into this gamer who lost it all. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed the first installment of the Fog Dive. These things are going to be, unlike the lore files, they're going to be only centered around Dead by Daylight, and are going to be more little speculation posts on theory ideas, with a bit of lore sprinkled in there. So, I really do hope you guys enjoy this system, and they're fun for me to make, and they do give me some time to fill up some content. So, as I said, I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope we could make many more dives into the fog. I am Volfa, and this has been the Fog Dive.